Discover the incredible moment a silent CEO's daughter finds her voice, thanks to a heartwarming turn of events. Lily Harper lived in a portrait of privilege wrapped in silence. At 17, she felt like a ghost wandering through the spacious hallways of her suburban home, forever overshadowed by the towering figure of her father, Jack Harper, the formidable CEO of a prominent manufacturing firm. His presence loomed large, not just in her life but in the vibrant tapestry of their bustling Midwestern town. The silence that echoed in their comfortable home was louder than any argument. It was a soundless chasm between them, filled with unfulfilled expectations and unspoken words. Every morning, as Jack pored over his coffee and newspaper, Lily's heart tightened in her chest. She was expected to follow his footsteps into business, into power, but the thought of trapping herself in a corporate cage filled her with dread. Yet the quiet screams of her soul went unheard. One fateful evening, a colorful flyer caught her eye: "Join our community theater class." It was a beacon of hope, whispering promises of self-expression and freedom. Lily felt an unfamiliar thrill dance along her spine. What if she could finally break free from her father's shadow and discover her own voice? With every hesitant stroke of her pen on the enrollment form, she felt more alive. The theater was a kaleidoscope of chaotic energy. Laughter and tears filled the air as she met a tight-knit group of individuals, not just actors, but dreamers fighting against economic inequalities. And as her eyes danced across the community board, she found shocking news: Jack's expansion plans threatened their beloved local park. The park stood as a cherished escape for many, and now it dangled in the balance of profits over people. How could her father, her rock, want this? Underneath her bed, she stumbled upon an old letter from her late mother, yellowing with age but bursting with emotion. "Sweetheart," it began, "the world will try to tell you who you are, but you must find your own way." Tears stung her eyes. Her mother had battled the same societal norms. Lily felt a fierce determination spark within her. As days passed, tensions escalated. The town hall meeting loomed, promising to either secure their precious park or erase it into oblivion. She stood at the edge of her emotions, torn between her loyalty to Jack and her responsibility to her community. The whispered fears of neighbors filled her mind. The weight of the world was heavy as she prepared to confront her father. On meeting day, the air crackled with urgency. The community gathered, faces etched with hope and fear. As she stood among the crowd, Lily's heart pounded like a loud drum. She grasped the microphone, trembling, knowing she was just moments away from shattering the silence that had defined her life. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With a deep, steadying breath, she summoned her courage. The town fell silent, eyes wide, breaths held, as she prepared to voice her truth. In that charged moment, her mother's words echoed fiercely within her. Would she challenge the man who shaped her life or become the change her community so desperately needed? The air was thick with anticipation, and as she opened her mouth, she felt the teetering edge of destiny beneath her. Lily felt the weight of the moment pressing down around her. She could see the concerned faces staring back at her, their eyes pleading for action, for someone to fight for their park, for their community. A knot twisted in her stomach, but she remained anchored by the memory of her mother's encouragement. This was more than just a speech, it was a lifeline to the life she wanted to lead. "Ladies and gentlemen," her voice wobbled, then steadied as all eyes glued to her. "I stand before you today not just as Jack Harper's daughter, but as someone who believes in our community, in each of you." The murmurs faded into a hush. Lily felt hope flickering like a candle flame. Our park is more than just green space. It's a sanctuary for our children, for families, and a hub for memories. It brings us together, regardless of our backgrounds. She glanced toward her father, seated among the board members. His face was unreadable, but she could feel the tension radiating from him like heat off concrete. She took a step closer to the audience. She had their attention, and she wasn't ready to let it slip away. Mr. Harper and his company are so focused on expansion that they've lost sight of what really matters: the people in this town. I know he is a businessman, and good at what he does, but commerce should not come at the expense of community. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and she felt emboldened. I understand that our town needs jobs and projects for growth, but not at the cost of our environment, our happiness, and our health. We can find a way to grow that respects our needs. The tension shifted, mutters of agreement and support filled the air. Lily's heart swelled. She was connecting, making them see not just her, but the passion that burned within her. Parents were nodding, a couple of teenagers whispered encouragement, then she pointed toward the board members. I am proud of my father for his achievements. But even he must realize that true leadership means listening, understanding, and balancing profit with responsibility. Jack's eyes darkened, and a storm of emotions flickered across his stern countenance. Was he angry? Confused? A mix of both. Taking another deep breath, she pushed through the fear. This isn't just about you, Dad. This is about all of us. We need to make decisions as a community, not as a corporation. We deserve a future where profits don't overshadow the people. By now, the crowd was no longer just listening, they were with her. She could see unity forming from the fear and anxiety they had felt. Each face reflected a shared vulnerability, but her words ignited a sense of hope. As she finished, the applause erupted, shaking the air with vibrant energy. Tears streamed down her face, a mixture of relief and joy flooding over her. For the first time, she had truly spoken her truth. But amid the sound, she felt her father's disappointment cutting like a knife. Could she truly stand against him? Had she burned a bridge, or was there a path to reconciliation? The room buzzed with excitement, but Lily's heart raced for another reason altogether. The battle had only just begun. Would she have the strength to face her father now, after such an impactful moment? As she stepped down from the podium, her mind swirled with uncertainty about what was next, both for the park and her relationship with Jack. The looming question now hung in the air: could the bond between a father and daughter survive when their beliefs collided head-on? As Lily stepped down, the crowd still buzzing with spirit, she felt a mixture of pride and dread. The tension in the room clung to her like a heavy fog. She scanned the faces of her friends and neighbors, their expressions a blend of gratitude and defiance. For a moment, she wished she could stay wrapped in that warmth, but she knew she had to face Jack. Navigating through the crowd, she caught snippets of conversation. Did you see the look on his face? Someone whispered. She really said it. Another declared. Their excitement felt intoxicating, yet just beyond the edge of euphoria was the stark reality of her situation. Finally, she reached the table where Jack sat, his expression a storm of emotions. Disappointment was clear, but there was something else lurking beneath: hurt, disbelief, maybe even a hint of respect. Lily, he began, his voice steady but strained. We need to talk. Her stomach churned. She felt the weight of his gaze like a physical force. Dad, I know. He cut her off, leaning forward, intensity in his eyes. You need to listen. This isn't just about the park. This is about everything we've built, everything I've worked for. Lily's heart sank. You weren't listening to us. To me. This is about our community. You care more about profit than people. His laughter was bitter. You think it's that simple. It's not black and white, Lily. Business is complicated. The decisions I make affect so many lives. But Dad, the lives you're ignoring are the ones that truly matter. The air felt thick, charged with every unspoken word. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched deep into his features. You really don't understand what it's like to be in my shoes. Every choice is a risk. What risk is there in choosing the people of this town? She shot back, her voice rising with emotion. When did we decide that profit outweighed belonging? An awkward silence enveloped them. Jack's gaze dropped to the table, as if searching for an answer in the polished wood. You think I wanted this? He mumbled, almost to himself. You think the park doesn't matter to me? Then prove it. Her voice broke slightly, but she pressed on. Stand with us. Fight for what we love, not for what can be built. Think about your legacy, not of buildings, but of what you leave behind in hearts. Lily watched her father closely for any flicker of understanding, any sign that her words had resonated. She wanted to reach through the divide, wanted to shake him from his corporate mindset. But then he looked up, a new determination in his eyes, a mix of rage and contemplation. You want me to stand with you? You better be ready for the fallout. What does that mean? She asked, nervous and hopeful at once. Jack stood abruptly, tension radiating off him. You'll see soon enough. Then, he turned and walked away, leaving a swirl of unanswered questions in his wake. Lily felt the crowd closing in again, their eyes questioning, eager, wanting to know what would happen next. Her heart was heavy, yet a flicker of determination ignited within her. She had faced him, and maybe, just maybe, the seeds of change could bear fruit. But the journey ahead was still fraught with uncertainty. As she took a deep breath, her mind raced with possibilities. If her father truly understood what it meant to fight for the park, could they find common ground? It was a delicate balance, one that could tilt either way. Would he be willing to risk everything for the community they both loved? The knot in her stomach tightened again. The next move was on him, but did she have the courage to keep pushing for what was right? And as doubts crept in, she felt the walls closing taut around her. Would she be able to bridge the chasm between father and daughter, or would their values draw an unbreakable line? Lily's head swirled with confusion as she navigated the crowd. Their excitement faded, replaced by the weight of her father's words. Ready for the fallout? What had Jack meant? As she moved away from the table, she felt the eyes of the townspeople on her, some filled with pride, others lined with concern. Her friends approached her, their expressions a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Lily, what did he say? Asked Sarah, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, Lily replied, shaking her head. He said I should be ready for the fallout. They can't hurt you, Sarah insisted, stepping closer. You've got us. Yeah, but what if he decides to go against us? What if he uses his power to tear us down? The urgency in Lily's voice mirrored the fear in her heart. She suddenly felt very small. Then we fight back, Adam chimed in, determination shining in his eyes. We need to gather everyone, lay out our plan. We can't let him win, Lily. That's right, Sarah supported, we have to rally the community. Other people care. They'll stand with us. But as Lily looked into her friends' hopeful faces, doubt clawed at her insides. They had faith in her, but what if her voice alone wasn't enough to make a difference? Her anxiety turned when Mr. Thompson, a local shop owner, emerged from the crowd. I heard what you said, Lily, he started, his voice weary but steady. I don't know if your father will listen, but you've got people ready to support you. I appreciate that, Mr. Thompson, but what if he retaliates? He has resources we don't. The more reason to stand up for what's right, he replied, his eyes holding hers. Sometimes, it takes a single voice to spark a movement. The important part is that you've got many voices behind you. You speak, and we will follow. Encouraged, Lily felt the faint embers of resolve flare. You really think we can change his mind? We can change the game, kid, he said with a sly smile. The corners of her mouth tugged upward, momentarily chasing away the clouds of doubt that hung over her, but just then, a voice broke through the commotion. Hey! We need to talk about the next steps with the park. It was Lucy, the town's environmental advocate, her long hair whipping in the breeze. The crowd stirred, instinctively turning toward her. Lily, you're our leader now, she stated, confidence in every word. It's time to organize. A community meeting, a demonstration. We need to show Jack we won. Stand down. The crowd erupted in murmurs of agreement, a ripple of energy coursing through them. Meet us at the square tomorrow morning, Lucy declared. We'll make it clear we stand together, no dividing us anymore. Lily felt her heart race. This was it, the initial push toward a collective voice. Would her father stand against the very people he once promised to support? As the crowd began to disperse, hope intermingled with uncertainty. Decisions lay ahead, each carrying consequences she couldn't fully grasp. Would this show of unity reach him? Would he understand the gravity of their cause? That evening, Lily stared out the window as the last light faded from the sky. Her thoughts raced like the cars passing below. The park, her father, her friends. Could everything she fought for align, or was it destined to tear them all apart? Just then, her phone buzzed with a text from Jack. We need to talk, it read. Her heart plummeted, and for a moment, she froze, fear gripping her tightly. Was this the moment she'd been hoping for, or a final confrontation that could seal their fates forever? What would Jack say? Tomorrow promised an impact, but tonight held the potential for a reckoning. Would they emerge as a united front, or would the chasm widen further? Lily leaned heavily against the window frame, staring at her phone as if it were her lifeline. Her heart raced, conflicting emotions swirling within her like a chaotic storm. She felt the pull of hope, but uncertainty lingered, casting shadows over her thoughts. What did Jack want? Was this a plea for reconciliation or a declaration of war? She sank down onto her bed, clutching the device tightly, her mind replaying all the moments leading up to this. Her father had been her hero once. Now he was a question mark, as mysterious as the future itself. As she sat there, her fingers hovered over the screen. She could feel the weight of her friend's expectations pressing down. Meeting in front of the square tomorrow, hands joined in solidarity. Would they all still stand together when push came to shove? Before she could talk herself out of replying, she typed back, "Where?" A flicker of determination sparked. It was time to confront him, to find out just how far he would go to defend his vision of the park and their town. Her entire life had been defined by Jack's decisions. Now she was coming into her own. After a few agonizing minutes, her phone buzzed again. The old barn. Can you come now? She hesitated, weighing her fear against her growing resolve. Coming to terms with her father and what he represented would not be easy. He had fundamentally shaped this town, and she was about to challenge everything he stood for. But wasn't that what leaders did? They faced their fears head-on. As she shrugged on her jacket and stepped out into the cool evening air, the crisp breeze seemed to mirror her mixed feelings. She walked through the familiar streets, past houses where childhood memories resided and shadows of her father's influence whispered at every corner. The barn loomed ahead, its weathered wooden beams casting eerie shadows under the pale moonlight. Taking a deep breath, Lily stepped inside. It smelled of hay and rust, a relic of days gone by. Jack stood in the center, his figure silhouetted against the single beam of moonlight pouring through a cracked window. "Lily," he said, a hint of surprise evident as she approached. "I didn't think you'd come." "I had to," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "I need to understand your side of everything. Why this park? Why now?" He looked down, rubbing the back of his neck, and she could see the weight of all the decisions he carried resting heavily upon his shoulders. "It's complicated," he said slowly. "I want what's best for the town, but sometimes that means making hard choices." Lily couldn't hold back any longer. "But at what cost? You're tearing us apart. The community has been neglected for too long. We're tired of excuses." Jack's eyes met hers, and she saw a flicker of the father she adored buried beneath layers of frustration and conviction. "You don't understand, Lily. Change is never easy. Don't you think we deserve a say in our future?" She felt passion bubbling inside her, the words pouring out like a dam breaking. "I'm not just your daughter, I'm part of this community too. The tension was palpable as they stared at each other. Questions lingered unasked, emotions thick in the air. Could he hear her? Could he set his ambitions aside for a moment and truly listen? "I never wanted to hurt you," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper, but that wasn't enough. Would it ever be enough? A surge of defiance washed over her. She wouldn't back down, even if it cost her everything. With the community rallying behind her, she would make her stand. Tomorrow's meeting would be a turning point. As she turned to leave, her heart pounded in her chest. She was on the brink of something monumental, something that could change everything. But she knew that the battle wasn't over. Would her father recognize the power of unity or continue to fight against it? The stakes had never been so high, and she could feel the impending storm brewing. What would happen next? Would she finally tear down the walls between them, or would they build an even deeper chasm? Lily stepped out of the barn, a rush of cold wind hitting her like a wave. The sky was a dark canvas, dotted with stars that felt distant, as if they were reflecting her own turmoil. Every step back home felt like she was walking on uncertain ground. The conversation with Jack echoed in her mind, a tangled mess of love, frustration, and confrontation. The thoughts of tomorrow's meeting churned in her gut. So many people depended on the outcome, and now, it was as if her entire life had led her to this moment. She wanted to quash her lingering doubts, but a small part of her feared the confrontation ahead would only deepen the rift between them. When she got home, her mother was sitting in the living room. The soft glow of the lamp painted her face in yellow hues, and for a fleeting moment, Lily felt a rush of warmth. "How was your day, sweetheart?" she asked, looking up from her book. "Just thinking," Lily replied, forcing a smile. "About the meeting tomorrow?" her mother probed gently. Lily nodded, her heart twirling rapidly. "I'm nervous, Mom. What if they don't support me? What if Dad doesn't see what I'm trying to do?" Her mother put the book down and moved closer, those wise eyes studying her daughter. "You're brave, Lily. You have your own voice now. Your father might not see it yet, but that doesn't make it any less powerful." "Do you really believe that?" Lily whispered, a bit of hope poking through her uncertainty. "I do. Just look at how far you've come. You're not just speaking for yourself, you're standing up for everyone who feels like they have no voice," her mother replied, giving her a reassuring nod. Lily took a breath, a sense of resolve settling in the pit of her stomach. Inspiration sparked like fireworks. "You're right, Mom. I can't let fear dictate my choices. No more living in the shadows of others' ambitions." Her mother reached out, squeezing Lily's hand with a warmth that spread through her, filling her with strength. "No matter what happens, know that I'm proud of you." In the quiet that followed, Lily's thoughts drifted back to the barn. If she could just get Jack to really listen, maybe this wouldn't end in another battle, but in understanding. There was more at stake here than the park. It was about the relationship, about rebuilding trust. That night, Lily tossed and turned in bed, her mind reeling with plans and strategies. Some part of her knew that tomorrow wouldn't just be about convincing the townspeople of her vision. It would be about revealing who she was, a reflection of the community she cherished, a daughter striving to be more than her father's shadow. Morning came too soon. As she sat at the kitchen table, ready to face whatever awaited her, the world outside felt charged, buzzing with potential. She could almost hear the collective heartbeat of her community, a rhythm she wanted to sync with, not oppose. When she arrived at the square, the crowd had already started to gather, their faces a mix of hope and apprehension. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very ground knew something monumental was unfolding. Then she spotted Jack across the street, standing tall and proud. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, everything felt suspended in time. There was fear, tension, and so much unsaid glimmering between them. Then a voice broke through the inertia, a shout from a familiar face in the crowd. "We're counting on you, Lily." Her heart raced. She was no longer just Lily. She was the voice for everyone who had felt unheard. Could she find a way to connect with Jack amidst the tempest? Could she transform fear into dialogue? Today would hold the answers to those overwhelming questions. As she stepped forward, Lily's blood rushed with purpose. Her voice would rise or fall on her next breath, but what would it say? Would it echo resilience or regret? The crowd buzzed with whispered conversations, anticipation thickening the air. Lily swallowed hard, her throat dry. She could feel every heartbeat inside her chest, a metronome of emotions, anxiety, hope, and a spark of determination. Jack remained focused, eyes steady, but she could see the storm brewing behind his calm facade. She stepped up to the makeshift podium. A worn wooden crate, it felt like traditional ground she could claim as her own. But as she stood on it, she could feel the weight of 1,000 expectations, her father's, the townsfolk's, and her own. Several friendly faces offered nods of encouragement, while others wore expressions that seemed doubtful. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice shaky but resolute. "I know we have differences, but we all want what's best for our town." Her eyes flitted back to Jack, whose expression shifted momentarily from stoic to something softer, the tension between them vibrating like a taut string. She took a deep breath, searching for the right words as she spoke about the park, about community, about shared dreams. "I used to think I had to conform to what everyone expected of me. Hidden behind my father's vision, scared to challenge it for fear of disappointing him," she admitted, feeling raw and exposed. "But I learned something important: it's okay to dream for myself. It's okay to want to stand up for the values that matter to me." A murmur ran through the crowd, a ripple of understanding. But was it enough? Was it resonating? She plunged deeper into vulnerability, sharing personal stories of growing up in a conservative voice that often overshadowed her own. "The park isn't just a place," Lily continued, her heart pounding fiercely. "It's a space for our children to play, for families to connect, and for crafting our future together. It's about preserving our roots while reaching for the sky." And there it was, her vision, clear and shining. As she spoke, the crowd responded, the energy shifting toward her side. Hope sparked in their eyes. But then Jack spoke. Lily, his voice cut through like a knife, and she felt her heart drop. "This park project, it's not just about the trees and swings. It's an investment. It's about the future of the town, jobs, the economy." The crowd shifted, some murmured in agreement, and just like that, the connection she was building began to waver. Desperation clawed at her throat, but she needed to stand firm. "Jack, I understand where you're coming from. But you're missing the point. Growth isn't just economic. It's about people." As their eyes locked again, a shared moment flickered between them. She could see through his bravado, and for a moment, he seemed vulnerable, lost in thought. It was as if their worlds were colliding in a beautiful struggle for understanding. The crowd watched, rapt with attention. Lily pushed forward. "We need to include everyone in this conversation, not just those who can write checks." The doubt in the crowd began to fade, but Jack's response remained unreadable, a storm behind his eyes. Lily felt a rush of adrenaline. The distance between them felt insurmountable. Could they really bridge this gap? Was redemption possible in the collective heart of the community? Then she saw her mother in the crowd. She was smiling, tears glistening, pride mingling with hope. "I'm asking for a chance, a voice in our town's future," Lily concluded, her heart racing. "Let us work together. Bring your ideas to the table." The silence that followed was palpable, a heavy moment suspended in time. Could she have made the impact she longed for? But just as she thought the tide was turning, Jack raised a hand, an uncertain look on his face. "What if we don't see eye to eye?" A new wave of uncertainty washed over her. The outcome was still hanging in the balance, and the fear of losing him and everything else felt like a weight too heavy to bear. Would she be able to navigate this rocky relationship and find common ground? Would this confrontation lead to understanding or despair? The answers loomed just out of reach. Lily stood at the edge of the podium, her heart thudding against her ribs. The tension in the air was electric. Could she sense the shift in energy? Doubt danced around her like a shadow, but a flicker of hope pushed through. Jack was silent for a moment, the uncertainty swirling around him. Words hung heavily in the air as the crowd held its breath, waiting for him to respond. She wanted to reach through the silence and pull him closer, to make him see that they could still fight for something greater together. Finally, he exhaled, the sound deep and unresolved. "Lily, I didn't mean to suggest we can't find common ground. It's just," he paused, searching for the words. "The reality is, we have to think pragmatically. Without investment, we can't sustain anything." His voice cracked slightly, betraying the conflict within him. For a moment, the fire of resolve burned in her chest, but it faltered beneath the chill of his practicality. She knew he wasn't wrong. She had heard the same arguments from her father, from community watchers who echoed the importance of financial viability. But was that the only way forward? "Jack, I understand," she said, trying to quell the rising tension. "But we can't sacrifice our community spirit for profit. I'm not asking for one or the other, I'm asking for both. Is that even possible?" He shot back, crossing his arms. Mirroring his doubts, some faces in the crowd began to share their unease. The thought of impossibility rumbled like thunder. But then, a familiar voice rose from the back, a woman with fiery red hair, fierce and unwavering. "I remember when we built the old swing set, back when we all came together to plant those trees." It was Angela, a mother from the kindergarten who had watched Lily grow. "It wasn't just a project, it was our community bonding." That comment seemed to resurrect a spark in the crowd, and others began nodding and murmuring in agreement. Lily felt a surge of gratitude wash over her. "Yes. We built that space, not for profit, but for our kids, for our memories. We had each other then." "That's a good point," Jack admitted, his brow furrowing as he considered her words. But the hesitation in his eyes remained. He was struggling with the rigid structure he'd been handed, the responsibilities he carried. Wasn't it admirable, this burden? She wanted him to see the other side. "Jack, this isn't just about numbers, it's about people. Look around. These are our friends, our neighbors. What we create should reflect who we are." Somewhere in the crowd, her mother nodded, her expression proud yet teary. She felt the warmth of her family's support, wrapping around her like a soft blanket. Lily needed to channel that warmth into something bigger, something that could break down the walls between Jack and her, but just as the crowd began to rally, a voice rose from the back, a man with arms crossed, his expression grim. "You think this park is going to change our lives? We've survived for years without it." Lily's heart sank. Would they let fear dictate their future? She locked eyes with Jack, sensing the crack in his confidence. She had to connect them, pull them into a vision together, even if they disagreed on how to get there. "Let us not see this as divided sides," she pleaded, her voice rising above the murmurs. "Imagine a space where every child smiles, where adults find connection. If we pool our resources, we could design the park together, build our future together. Can we dream together?" Jack's expression shifted again, a flicker of hope glinted in his eye, but the doubt rolled right back in. "And what if your dreams aren't feasible?" Lily took a step closer, her voice imploring, "What if they are? Can't we at least try?" The crowd buzzed, uncertainty mingling with something resembling hope, leaving the bridge between her and Jack still standing but trembling. Did they dare to reach for it? As the murmurs swirled, she felt the call of her heart, urging her to find a solution, a middle ground. What if tomorrow held an answer? What if this was just the beginning? Lily took a breath, ready to explore the possibilities, but the next moment could open a door or close it completely. Every heartbeat drummed with urgency. Would Jack choose to join her on this journey of risk and vulnerability? The air hung thick with the weight of their decisions, the impending moment pressing in closer. Would love conquer the practical, or would fear win once again? Lily's heart raced as she stood there, the murmurs of the crowd wrapping around her like an invisible web. Jack's piercing gaze felt both grounding and unnerving. She could see the gears turning in his mind, but time was slipping away. She had to act fast. "Look," she said, her voice breaking slightly, but she steadied herself. "This isn't just about a park, is it? It's about us. As a community, we've been through so much together. We need to build on that legacy. It's not just about a place to play, it's a chance to create memories, to nurture the next generation. How can we let that slip away?" Jack blinked, clearly weighing her words heavily. The crowd began to stir, uncertainty mixing with a warm current of empathy. It was like a pulse, alive and throbbing with potential. But the man from earlier was still there, arms crossed, skepticism etched in every line of his face. "Memories don't pay the bills, and memories don't feed our kids," he shot back, a hint of anger in his tone. Lily felt the frustration boil just under the surface. She clenched her fists but took a breath. "You're right. They don't. But without a powerful community, what good is anything? What are we if we're not connected? We need to find a way to make both dreams work, together." From the corner of her eye, she spotted Angela again, her face lit up with determination. "You all remember when we had that fundraiser for the library? We just had a bake sale and an auction, and people came together. We filled that place to the brim. It wasn't about profit, it was about passion. We could create an event like that again, bring everyone in." Some people whispered back and forth, the idea slowly sinking in. Lily felt refreshed by the burgeoning enthusiasm. Maybe a festival? A way to celebrate who we are while raising funds for the park. We can get local businesses to donate time and resources, maybe free concerts. It's a win-win. Jack, visibly torn, pushed his hair back, a sign of the internal battle raging inside him. "I don't know, Lily. Even if we can raise some money, the park itself needs more than that. It needs plans, real backing. Then let us get started on that." Lily's voice surged, wrapping the crowd in her fervor. "Let us gather experts from our community, architects, planners, people who care. We can create a proposal that appeals to investors and be transparent about what we need. Together." As if the crowd was a beating heart, a wave of murmurs rippled through, growing stronger with excitement. Some in the crowd began nodding, faces brightening. It felt contagious, the hope filling the space with a gentle warmth. Jack stood there, his expression shifting as he glanced over the crowd. The flicker of hope sparked again in his eyes, but it struggled against his unwieldy sense of responsibility. "And if we fail, Lily? What if we put our hearts on the line and it all crumbles?" "Then we gather ourselves up," she said fiercely. "We learn and try again. But if we don't try, how will we ever know?" The heartbeat of their community surged as more voices joined to echo her sentiment. Just then, a soft voice made its way through the crowd. "What if we form a committee?" It was Betty, a grandmother who had fostered many in their tiny town. "A committee made of parents, teachers, even kids. Someone to coordinate all the ideas and make sure we're staying on track." Lily turned to Jack, a smile breaking free. "See? We already have a start. This can work. We need each other. We need to trust each other. But it starts now." Jack stared into her eyes, the fight still swirling in his chest. She held her breath, the weight of his next words crashing over her. Would he take that leap of faith with her, or pull back into safety? The tension hung between them, fraught with possibility. Jack opened his mouth to speak, but before the words could form, a loud crash echoed in the background, a startling distraction. Some people turned in confusion, and others gasped, eyes widening. What had happened? Was this the moment they were waiting for, the true test of their resolve? Lily felt her heart jump in her chest, a mix of fear and curiosity. Whatever was to come next could shift their entire meeting, and perhaps their entire community. As the crowd gasped, everyone turned to see what had happened. A nearby vendor's cart had toppled over, spilling a cascade of colorful fruits and vegetables onto the ground. The vibrant colors scattered like confetti, and for a moment, panic pierced through the gathering, but rather than retreat, the community instinctively sprang into action. People rushed to help gather the fallen goods, laughter mingling with apologies as neighbors lifted the cart back upright. It was chaos, but it was also beautiful, a reflection of the spirit that Lily had been yearning for. She felt her heart lift, witnessing the raw unity of her town. People were working together, not just to restore a market stand but to reclaim the very essence of their community. Amid the flurry, she caught sight of Jack, who had momentarily stepped aside. His eyes roamed over the scene, and she could almost see him wrestling with emotions. Maybe this was the moment she needed to reach him, to show him that true connection and community could sprout up from the most unexpected of circumstances. Lily stepped off the platform, weaving through the crowd before finding her way to her father. "See," she called, her voice rising above the commotion. "Just look at how we come together when there's a need. This is what I want for our park: collaboration, support, love. It can be more than just a project." Jack stared at her, the corners of his mouth twitching as if trying to suppress a grin. "You really care about this, don't you?" he said, his face softening. "I do. And I want you to care too, Dad. Let South build this park as a community effort. A symbol of togetherness. Not just for profit, but for us." Her heart raced with each word, and the crowd around them began to murmur in agreement once more, the energy palpable. Then, something shifted in Jack. She saw it in the way his shoulders relaxed. He took a deep breath, the tension leaking away like air from a balloon. "All right, Lily." The surrounding crowd quieted, the moment heavy with anticipation. Jack stepped forward, his voice booming yet hesitant. "I've made my decisions based on what I thought was best, but I see now that I need to listen." He looked around at the eager faces. "Let us get to work. Let us form that committee, let us invite our community to shape this park together." Cheers erupted from the townspeople, a joyful eruption that felt like fireworks igniting the sky. As they embraced this new direction, Lily felt a wave of relief crashing over her. The bond with her father was beginning to mend, the distance closing with every shared smile from their town. The tension that had once occupied the space between them was dissipating like fog, revealing the warmth of understanding. "This is only the beginning," Jack said, glancing back at Lily. "I want to hear every voice. I want them all to feel that they belong here, that they matter." Lily beamed, tears of joy mingling with the laughter and chatter around her. "Together, we'll make sure they always will." As the crowd rallied together, exchanging ideas and sharing hopes, Lily felt the surge of unity swell around her. She embraced her father, their bond stitched together by purpose and love. It felt like they were no longer strangers locked in a battle, they were allies, ready to face the world and each other with open hearts. The gathering wound tighter, creating plans and brainstorming possibilities, a symphony of voices harmonizing into one. They envisioned a festival to raise funds, to invite every family and friend, to celebrate their community unity. Practicality mixed with dreams, shaping their path forward. In that moment, Lily knew one thing for sure: her voice had been found, not just in a theater or a crowd but in every heart that beat around her. And that voice resonated with a spirit that gleamed like the stars above. As she stood there, surrounded by friends, community, and a father willing to learn and grow, she realized, they had turned silence into a chorus of possibilities. There were no more ghosts now, only echoes of resilience, coming together in unwavering support. It was time to build, to dream, and to celebrate. This was their story and it was only just beginning. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that bell and mark all notifications so you won't miss out. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Seriously, it makes a difference. Comment below your feels about this ending because we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support keeps us motivated.